Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Take Off the Sandals podcast with your host, David and Maya here. Today, we are joined by a very special guest. If you want to introduce.
All right, y'all, so we've got Brittany Stuart, we've got a mom, we've got a wife, artist. She does all the things. So, Brittany, if you want to go ahead and take over, if you want to introduce yourself a little bit to everyone.
Yeah, definitely. Hi. I'm Brittany Stuart. I'm a mom of three, and I've been married to my husband, Justin Stewart, for a long time. Like it's since 2014, so very
Wow.
long time, whatever that is. He laughs at me because he's like, "Oh, it makes me feel better that you don't know." But I'm like, I've known him since I was a freshman in high school, so I get mixed up between how long I've been with him and how long I've been married to him. So,
Yeah.
um, but yeah, and he most people know him from J Stew, so which is a YouTube channel. So, yeah, that's pretty much me. I also do art therapy, not art therapy because I'm not a therapist, but basically what I do is I work with women of many seasons and ages and just walks of life, and I walk them through the art process and just basically a therapeutic art facilitator is what they call me.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love what you were talking about with that with Justin, because that's something that's huge for me at least, is just like to be able to have someone, like you said, to be able to have someone as your best friend first and then going into a dating relationship. And I think that's so cool, like hearing yours and Justin's testimony and y'all's like walk through like for y'all's relationship and different things like that. And that's one of the things that I've loved, because I've heard like y'all say that like trying like being friends for a certain amount of time versus being married for a certain amount of time. So that's really cool that it kind of runs together for y'all. So it's like a endless friendship almost. So I love that.
Honestly, when he goes on like trips, like he just got back from a very cool, like I can't say how awesome it was, but it was a very cool trip with a very cool YouTuber. And I was like, I miss my best friend. I was like, what? Just
I love
truly my best friend. So anyway.
I love that. Yeah, so that's one thing that I've been super excited. So so you were talking about like your art journey or being like an artist. So like how long have you been into painting or into art? Like when did that kind of start for you? Like when did you kind of have that interest for painting, photography, all that good stuff?
Yeah. So I've been an artist since I was pretty much like a little girl. I remember my mom being very frustrated with me because I was just so like what they call messy. And my mom was very clean, and so I just remember like layers of paper towels everywhere, but just to save all the messes. But I don't think my art really took root in my heart until I was in high school, where I walked through some really hard stuff, as we all do, and I was turning to art to help cope with life. So, yeah.
Beautiful. Yeah, that was like the same for me. Like I've always been into some form of art. So yeah, just like wanting to know that about you, to like kind of like where that kind of started. So yeah, I think like it's so cool like being able to see like how art can help us through so much, and art can help through, and we'll get into that here shortly, but about like anxiety, depression, anger, I mean all sorts of different things. And so yeah, we'll be able to get into all that here soon. But yeah, just like seeing how healing that it is, and like how we can like as kids we can scribble and like color in books and all that fun stuff, but then like you can really get into and to realize like how deep that art can actually go, and like how emotional that it can be. So yeah, that's really beautiful though. I love that.
Yeah, I had no idea that like art therapy was actually a degree. Like if I could go back in time, I would love to become an actual certified, like, licensed art therapist.
Yeah.
But it's just in my season of life right now, it's insane.
Oh yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. I think like that can kind of lead us into to that a little bit, like like what inspired you to want to become an art therapist? Like what was something, or I know you said, I guess an art coach, I guess I'll put it like that, but like
Yeah.
what kind of led you to wanting to start that?
Yeah, so basically, I always tell people that I was a product of therapy, like therapeutic art, before I knew it was an actual job. Which what I mean by that is like for years I was just turning to art and I was like, I don't know what it is, but this is helping me a ton, and I feel like it is helping me to vocalize what I'm feeling internally without having to use words. And so that was really what kind of drew me in, because I've dealt with like depression and anxiety and um, yeah, especially with, my husband's work, just a lot of self-identity issues. And I didn't really realize how much I had until his fame grew and I was not like even looked at in a room. And so I had to come to terms with, okay, like who am I? And I know I'm kind of going on a rant right now, but that's kind of, you know, basically in a nutshell, my pain is what has got me this far. And I was like, okay, now I'm a mom of three and I have a lot of coping mechanisms and art, knowledge under my belt. And a lot of art itself is very somatic. So when you're doing art, it is very like it's going to come up. That's why a lot of people love working out because it's a stress reliever. And so for art, I'm like, I love working out, but like art itself, you get like a beautiful product.
Oh yeah.
On top of that, I mean, obviously working out, you're working on yourself, but art is very similar in that aspect. And so,
Yeah.
yeah.
I think like with as far as like working out versus artwork, like working out, like you said, like you have to continuously do it in order to start seeing tone muscles and start to build that up. But with art, like I mean, I definitely think that artwork is a lot more like you work and then you get sudden results almost, like where it's like you're angry so you put it out on a canvas, or you're sad so you put it out on a canvas, and then it's just like shows up there. So yeah, I think art can be a little bit more satisfying in my opinion.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
get a little bit more sudden results that like than working out. But yeah, both of those are fantastic.
Yeah.
For sure.
Because I want to, because I know, because that's a similar thing for me, because like I may not be full on with like art and painting and stuff like that, but it's a similar thing for me with like music and stuff like that. I'm very huge into music and stuff like that, but I find more comfort whenever I'm playing music or playing the piano or something like that. It feels really, it's just really nice.
Yeah, definitely. It's like the emotion, like it comes out of you, and it's just like, oh my gosh, I didn't realize that I needed to play the piano. I didn't realize I needed to play. You know what I mean? Like yeah, it's incredible. It's incredible.
Yeah, that's what we actually just recently made a episode talking about just the talents of what we can use for art and music, and to be able to use these gifts and these all this stuff to glorify God in ways that we may not think it could be used, but then it is possible. We just showed a lot of examples, like me and Maya and a friend of hers basically showed some stuff of art and music. So it kind of just shows what things we can do for God.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah. Being able to take those things, and then like what you're doing is taking the God-given emotions that we have, and instead of using them for something that could harm ourselves or harm others, that then you could turn that into something beautiful. And because anger, of course, anger is not a sin. Being stressed like that, like there's certain things that is not sinful, but it just depends on like what, I guess, like what direction that you're going to take it. That's whenever it can become sinful. So just to be able to turn to God in that, and to ask Him to help you turn that into something beautiful through art, through just being creative, through music, different things like that, and just to be able to know how to turn to God in the middle of of all these crazy emotions that we have, that I believe that Jesus himself felt, and like he obviously knew where to take all these emotions and stuff. So yeah, I know for sure that he can help us through that, and then that's of course what he's doing through you. Because that's one thing to transition a little bit, because that's we had just gotten done with your 6 week I Am Well program. I was able to be a part of that, and it was a beautiful experience. So yeah, that's something that I got to be a part of. So I think just to transition, like if you're going to be doing any more of that, like if that was just a one time thing or continuing that anymore anytime soon, like where people can sign up if they want to, or if you're going to be doing it. But yeah, just to kind of explain that a little bit.
Yeah, no, thank you. First of all, I loved working with you so much. It was just such a treat. Yes, we will be opening up I Am Well, which is my one-on-one art coaching program, which I am a certified life coach, and then I mix that with art. And then it's a 6 week program, but I actually have a wait list going on right now, and then I'm gonna open it up in August or September timeframe. So that's kind of, and then I'm gonna announce it probably like at the beginning of August. So yeah, but like Dear Norel is basically like my where people can find me, and it's my coaching, I don't know, like hub, and everywhere I throw my art. So that's where people can find me and be on the wait list, stuff like that. So
Yeah, because that I'll post all of like your Instagram and all that kind of stuff, and then the Dear Norel website. So then I think also to ask like where did you get that inspo for Dear Norel? Like where did that inspiration come from for that? Because that I've gotten a couple things. I might pop some stuff up on the screen too if we're able to, but pop up some of the stuff that I've gotten. You've done like bags and prints and all that fun stuff. But yeah, just to like know where you kind of got the inspiration for that website.
yeah, the name itself.
Oh yeah, the name.
Yeah, so once I became a mom, it like changed me from the inside out, literally. I was like, I feel like I'm being sanctified painfully and like beautifully. And so basically, both of my daughters, because I have two daughters now, and both of them have the middle name Norel. And so when I had my first daughter, I was really struggling with my health. And it was right after a season where I was struggling with my mental health, but now my physical health was mirroring that. And so I came up with the name Dear Norel as like, okay, every like day that I choose to make art is a day that like I'm writing a letter to my daughters, and my son now, but like to like that, like mom is trying, period. Mom is choosing to work on herself, make beautiful things, hopefully be inspiring to them. And that's like the whole goal. It's like just letters. So Dear Norel in itself, whether it's kind of like what you brought up, it's like we've done magazines in the past. I've done like dyed dresses and then turned them into bags. My friend sewed them and they were incredible. Like, or now the coaching stuff, and or anything that I make on top of this, like even my art in the back, like my kids help me make every single art piece.
Oh, beautiful. I love that.
So it's fun. But just because my heart's cry is for my kids to have a healthy mom. And I do believe that if like more people used art, or just, gosh, I mean, even working out, right? But I know we're talking about art. If people chose art as a healthy coping mechanism and learned how to not be scared of emotions that come up, but like really regulate themselves and ground themselves. And, I think we would have a lot we'd have better families and happier families and stuff like that. So that's kind of where it came from, is again my own story and my own testimony. So
I love it though. I knew it because I've seen like some videos of stuff of your kids helping, like just doing like some fun watercolor, different things like that. But I didn't realize that they would help with a good bit of your pieces. So that's beautiful
yeah.
seeing that, and just like because that's one thing with the I Am Well program that we did. Like that's something that I learned a ton that I was telling you about, but just like the perfectionism and different things like that, and like where to take that and like how to process it, how to feel it, and then knowing that emotions like those are God given things that He wants to help heal us through and to help just to help show us like, okay, this is what you're feeling and here's what it means, and like we can take it here, like take it to me and all that kind of stuff. And so yeah, that's one thing that it was huge for me, and just to be able to like let go and just to be free. And so like with your kids helping you out with art and just like that childlike type creativity, like that's something that I absolutely love. So I think it's really cool that they're able to help out with different things like that.
I love this one because like I wish you guys could see like the texture on it, but like
Yeah.
we made these giant pieces for an art show, and like my kids would throw snow on top of like
Oh,
fluid art, like fluid paint,
yeah.
and then we would leave like the garage, and then we'd come back the next morning and it would like melt.
Oh
And
my
so all of
god.
this by chance.
Oh my gosh, so that's made out of snow, that painting
Oh
behind
my
you.
gosh.
Isn't it
Oh, that's
cool? So
That's
it was
beautiful.
really cool because then they like it wasn't like these pieces I love because a lot of mediums like they I'm not micromanaging my kids where it's like they can just throw snow wherever and I'm like, sure, it's gonna be great.
I love that. Yeah, and I think it's like so important. That's another thing that I was talking about during like my like that's one thing that you would call it instead of homework, then it would be heart work, and I love that. But so and some of it for sure would be challenging for me, but like trying to push myself to be more childlike because I would want to be like really really strict and rigid with different things like that. But yeah, just to be able to let go and just to enjoy the process. And if there's a mistake made, then that's great. We can Bob Ross, we can turn it into a happy accident.
yeah.
Yeah.
Different things like that. And but yeah, just to be able to just to be free and just to feel like to feel whatever you need to feel, and then be able to express that through music, through slapping it on a canvas, whatever needs to happen. But yeah, just I think that it's beautiful what you're doing and what your kids are able to help out with and different things like that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Another question is how do you balance being a mom, a wife, and an artist?
That's a great question. I don't think I balance it. I think I think there's seasons. I can't remember who said this, but they were like, there's no such thing as balance, like ever, ever, ever. I think there's seasons for everything. I mean, that's biblical. But I think allowing us to just kind of rest in that, with being like, I can't manage all of this. And there's been seasons where I've grieved my artistic side and she hasn't come out in a long time. And right now I'm in a season where I am creating more than I have in years. And it feels really, really good and I'm thankful for it. But I have to kind of I I think that is really honestly what contributed to a lot of my anxiety and my depression, where I was like, I have to be balanced. Like I need to be as big as my husband is, like, and be in the spotlight, right? And then I also need to be a present mom, and I also need to figure out my identity and all of these issues. And it's like, you can't.
Yeah, for sure.
Lovingly give yourself a big hug right now and just say, I'm not going to try, I can't. And but I think there's beauty in that. And I think every single season there will be a time and a place. And right now, like for me, being a present mom and making my home like a safe haven for my family as a leaping pad, like a trampoline to like you
Yeah.
can just tell with my vocabulary I'm like a mom, a stay-at-home mom, but I'm like for them to go off into the world and like do their job and then come back home, like that's where my art is finding its place. Um,
Yeah.
so I think that's kind of like where I find balance personally, but
Yeah. I love that. Like not having to balance all of it to where it's like rested on your shoulders to where like you have pretty much have like a panic attack because of everything that needs to be balanced. Yeah. And
yeah,
then just be able to say like, okay, like I can't handle this right now, be able to take that off and then be able to just be able to take care of the things that you know that you would be able to take care of in the moment. So yeah, that's absolutely beautiful. I love that.
yeah,
Because like I was thinking about the question now, you were talking about how you or we are never balanced, and I like that, because we're slowly, little by little, getting better as a person, or just like we're never going to fully get it right, we're never going to bring it balanced. That we're still like, even whenever we were like in our 70s or 80s or 90s, that we're still not going to get it right, but we're slowly learning, and that's what we're still learning as a person, as a wife, as a husband, as just anyone, really, we're still trying to do. But yeah, I like that.
definitely. Yeah.
Another thing that you were mentioning was like having to balance, like so you were talking about Justin and where he's at, and then where you were at. So one of the things that I absolutely loved, and we'll get into like testimony stuff later on, but you were talking about just like having to match that, and that so we were talking about before we started recording that this has been one of my like this is a dream interview for me, and just like being it because I've been following you and Justin around the same time for about 8 years. And but I was subscribed to Miss Beauty March to your channel, and that's one thing that I've absolutely loved seeing, like through your Instagram and stuff. And so you match it like trying to match that energy of being a prankster YouTuber, all that kind of stuff, and trying to match that. And so yeah, just being able to find more and more, and so that's helped me through so much and like brought so much healing for me, and just seeing like I can take a step back and be able to find myself and different things like that. And so yeah, there's been so much that's been uncovered and through like that God's been showing me through y'all, and just so much growth and creativity. But yeah, just like to know where you got that you're like their inspo for Miss Beauty Mart, like where that came from, because I've always wanted to know that, like where that inspo even came for Miss Beauty Mart. If you had anything for that.
I don't know why, but like when people bring up that name, like I want to hug them but cringe at the same time. Like, like the name is Beauty Mark, it just holds a lot of like different mixed emotions for me.
Mm.
Because it was like I made that I can't remember exactly who it was. I think it was probably my mother-in-law. Um, where and she still does this actually now that I think of it, but she's always encouraging me to make my mark. Like make my mark on like the world or like have freedom and play and like so Justin actually gets a lot of his like goofiness and playfulness from her. And so when I married into this family, I was like, I love this. I need more of it. Um, so I would love to say that she inspired a lot of that. And then I think just again, like my own testimony of like feeling like I didn't necessarily fit in and all that stuff. I really wanted to make my mark.
Yeah.
So, and then also like I've got like I know it sounds like really weird, but I have like one arm that is crazy different than my other arm. That's why I will never tattoo my left arm ever
Oh, cool. I
because
love that.
the pigmentation is like different. It's like all freckly and anyway,
Yeah,
it's just
that's
weird.
really cool. I didn't realize that.
Yeah, and so I have like a lot of beauty marks or birthmarks on me, and so that's another thing where I'm like I'm different. I love this and whatever. So
Amen.
that's kind of like where it came from. But I did want to say thank you for sharing that, just about like how J Stu or whether it's Miss Beauty Mark or whatever, it just like helped. I think that's like the biggest thing for I can speak for both Justin and I, where it's like, here we are, like I could say like, oh, I'm just making art. Or Jay could say like, oh, I'm making silly, goofy videos. And it's like the impact I think that we are, making, we don't really realize. And I think a lot of like your listeners too, like I told Maya this when we were doing our one-to-one, where it's like most people think that when you decide to make art, it's like whatever, it's just that's cute
Yeah.
crafts. But it's like it's actually like so much deeper than that. Like you're impacting yourself and you're impacting other people. So yeah, I think it's a lot deeper than people think it is.
Oh, for sure.
So
Yeah, that's one thing. I've always, I still kind of have like a shy personality, just getting to know somebody. But I'll like warm up the more that I get to know somebody. But it used to be like super bad and just like really insecure and different things like that, self-critical, like big people pleaser, all that kind of stuff. And I found some of Justin's stuff and started subscribing, and then that led me over to your stuff, and then just seeing like, oh my gosh, she's an artist, and she talks about insecurity, she talks about anxiety, like all the things that I'm struggling with and different things like that. And so that's what I mean. And just like that's Justin stuff, like that's helped me to loosen up. But then your stuff, seeing that and seeing like that you're struggling right along with some of the stuff that I was struggling with, and seeing the growth and seeing God's hand in that, and seeing that it like, so yeah, there's been like so much growth from the 8 years that I've been subscribed, and I've definitely been able to feel God's hand on your stuff and on what Justin does and different things like that. So yeah, that there's been like huge growth for me. And so yeah, I know for sure like so many other people that are subscribed and following y'all and all that good stuff. But yeah, so much growth, so much beauty mark, all that all that fun stuff. So yeah, all sorts of good stuff coming from it.
thank you for saying that.
Of course. So I think leading with that, like from Miss Beauty Mart, how have the transitions from YouTube to being a creative artist to now coaching, like how has all of that like impacted you, and like your journey of growing through all of that, and because now like not doing Miss Beauty Mart anymore, but just like leading up to all the other things that you're doing now, like how has that impacted what you do and like where you're at now, I guess.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, honestly, it's like it's my whole life's journey. And as hard as, some of these seasons have been, I would never want to like get rid of them because now it's like, I even I don't know if you ever knew this, but like I also did like wedding photography for like a season, and that was like I did it with Justin.
Oh,
And
cool.
so, but it's like all of these different seasons gave me tools to help bless other people
Yeah.
now. And so I think that's really what it comes down to is, at first I think we can like look at our journey and we can be like, I can't believe I tried that. I failed. Like that's, you know, it's I think it's like perspective, 100%. It's seeing things as like that actually served me and I was supposed to lay it down in that season. That was not a, picking it up in a continual season. That was a 2018 season,
Yeah.
so, and I'm thankful for that. So I think up until this point, it's like I have a lot of tools to help other women and to help myself and my kids and even Justin. So
Yeah, I think that's so cool. Like, because that's I think it's so easy, like wanting to like see old versions of ourselves, and then like wanting to do away with it or not. Like feeling like it was useless, and like, oh, God couldn't use that or whatever it is. But then, like you just said, like to be able to take a step back, and it's like, well, like I grew in this area through Miss Beauty Marked or whatever it is, and then like being able to have that tool for where you're at now as an artist, and then as like life coach and different things like that. and so yeah, just being able to see that area of my life, or years ago, that wasn't trash, that wasn't like, well, it wasn't a bad area of my life, but God like was able to show me something in that, even though it was miserable to walk through maybe, but like he was able to show us something in that. So yeah, I think that that's something like just to learn, just like to know that every area, I think it's Romans 8:28, where it says that all things work together for the good of those who love him. But just to know and to take that step back, like God is using even the worst seasons that we might walk through, or the cringy seasons, whatever it might be, and knowing that he's going to use that to bring you to where you're at now. So yeah, I think that's really cool though.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it's some seasons are really hard because they last, it feels like they're gonna last forever.
Yeah.
And looking back, I'm like, if I could go back and like just tell my younger, like newly married self, like, hang on, girl.
Yeah.
Hang
Yeah.
on. Hang on. Because like eventually you're gonna find your own thing. And
Mhm.
I think like everyone aspires to be in the spotlight, have millions of followers. And I tried to be a YouTuber. That is not me at all. I can confidently say I love being hidden,
Mhm.
purposefully hidden. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I will come up and I'll talk to people and I'll do things, but then it's like I'm okay now with where God has me.
Mhm.
And I feel like of course, there's times where I'm like, oh, I wish like people saw my art more or whatever. But it's like deep down, I'm like, I'm okay where I'm at. And I did not have that during Miss Beauty Mark years at all.
Mhm.
So
Just like trying to find so much, like, or I know for me at least, like trying to find so much to hang on to, or to trying to validate myself or my feelings, or like I was talking about, like people pleasing and different things like that. There's so much that I was wanting to grasp onto, where God was like trying to like pry it from my fingers, like this isn't for you anymore, like that's not for you to hang on to. So yeah, I've been so thankful for like that's what I'm trying to learn and trying to grow through now, is like trying to be okay with my past self, and trying to know that that was for God's glory. But yeah, I couldn't imagine where I would be at if I was still the same person. That God has been growing and doing all sorts of different things to bring me into it, like to where I'm at now. So yeah, I've been super thankful for that, and just seeing like where God's growth will take us, and so yeah, like how much that He'll transform us during different seasons. But yeah, absolutely love that though.
I have another question. It's how do you invite Jesus into those around area into those areas?
hmm. Specifically art or what areas are you talking about?
Oh, you're talking about like from being a mom and a wife and an artist and different things like
I
that.
guess yeah, something like that. Yeah, but
Okay. Oh man, out of desperation, I feel like every answer I have is like brutally honest, where it's like I just feel like there's no like mental health when you have something and then it's taken away from you, I feel like we get to a place of desperation. And it's especially being a mom. I mean, I have friends who are walking through years of chronic health issues while also taking care of young little babies. And it is brutal. It is like I've been there, but also like just now that I'm seeing it from the outside, I'm like, it's just awful. It's awful to watch. And I hurt for them. And so I think what I'm trying to get at is just sometimes like this desperation with whatever season that we walk through, it requires us to make a decision on who we're going to rely on. Are we going to rely on, I mean, my art, like I can scream art, like therapeutic art to the rooftops, but it's only going to get you so far.
Yeah.
It's only going to get you so far. And I think that's super important to understand. And, I work with people who do not believe in Jesus. And um, I, I love them with all my heart. And I'm like, you do have to come to a point where it's like, what are you truly after and what are you relying on? And so it's very interesting. This kind of work is very interesting, but at least for me in my life, um, the Lord has allowed me to fall on my face multiple times to run back to Him and realize my need for Him.
Wow. I think that's so be like because they're like I love it that you said that too. Like there's certain things. There's a whole bunch of like self help type things, and like there's different books that I've read. There's different things that I've tried to do like in my flesh, where like you said like that will definitely make us fall on our face, and it's like okay like this stuff isn't working, and then like God will show us Himself and He'll shine His light on that situation. So yeah, I love that you brought that up too, because there is only so much, and I believe that so like what you're doing, and I know that you said that you've worked with non-believers, but like you being a Christian artist and a Christian art coach and different things like that, then like being able to shine that light, whether you speak the name of Jesus or not, then it's like being able to shine that light where people is like drawn to that and wanting to know like where do you get your joy from? Where do you get your like that peace and anxiety and different things like that, like wanting to be drawn to that. So yeah, just being able to see like God blesses us with therapy. He blesses us with certain medications and different things like that are very much needed sometimes. But then it's also like we can't be fully dependent on that. So yeah, I love that you brought that up too. So that's really helpful. Okay, so yeah, another one. So as far as art and creativity, so how do you get inspired like whenever you're in a creative block? Because you were talking about earlier, like being in a season where you were creating a lot more than what you would ever have. So like what do you do whenever you aren't creative? Like how do you kind of are able to inspire yourself or to get out of that creative slump?
Yeah, I think again it goes back to not judging ourselves, because I think this might make people listening get real sad real quick because um, like I did not make a canvas art piece of canvas artwork for about like I would probably say like 2 or 3 years. And it was just because I was knee deep in like littles and babies and moving and all the things. And taking care of my health. And so for me, like looking back, I discounted how else I was creating. So like, I told this to you too, but like with my clients, I'm like, okay, I'm going to teach you how to sit down and make art. But it's really important to look at your life and say, what other areas do I make art? So like, am I being creative in the kitchen? Like, do I like cooking? Do I like baking? Like, I love rearranging furniture and like making spaces new and like making them beautiful and like curated and all these different things. And so I think, again, to everything there is a season. And so for me, finding inspiration will look like the seasons. And so right now it's like, oh, I'm doing all this canvas work and pastels and like it's all like big and busy. But then as fall comes and winter comes, it's going to be a lot more smaller. But looking at that with a non-judgmental lens and being like, I'm still creating. It's just like we also need rest and we can't just output all year round. That's not how God created us. That's not how He created the earth. You know what I mean? And so I think learning from that perspective is really valuable.
Yeah, just to be okay. Okay, yeah, I like that you said that you hadn't done like canvas, like painting canvas for like 2 or 3 years. So yeah, that's really cool. Just like thinking about that and just like knowing that like that yes, I believe that God has created us to be creative, but then it's not always like what you were talking about, like to push ourselves to like have to be creative. Like I have to or I want to or like being just like not thinking of anything to paint or anything like that. Because yeah, that I've been stuck in that way too many times and wanting to paint, but then like having absolutely no idea what to paint. And just like being stuck in that. So yeah, I think just being able to find other areas, like you said, and like I can enjoy cooking, I can enjoy spending time with family or whatever it is, and just finding other places to be creative. So yeah, that was really helpful, and just to be okay and just to like chill and to settle in the creative slump and just allow God to move in whatever season that is going to be. So yeah, that's really helpful though.
Exactly. I think like a lot of people discount the fact that like if you just painted the wall that you've been wanting to paint for years, that might like be transformative for you. Just
Literally.
paint the wall, put some wallpaper up, or like, just like that alone, curating our spaces it's really important. So
I think that was one thing that I was telling you during the life coaching thing because I had been in a creative slump before that, and just like I was excited to do that with you, but then also like I'm not feeling creative right now, and then like the art prompts and stuff that you had given, and just trying to work through that, and just to sit with whatever I was feeling, and just trying to sit with God and whatever it was, and that definitely helped me, and just to be able to like to feel, and then to put it on canvas, put it on a sketch pad or whatever it is like that helped, and to like drew that out of me, I guess, and just to help get me out of that creative slump. So yeah, like what you were talking about, like I was so used to doing canvas, where then it was like doing something on a sketch pad or something, where it was like putting me in new situations where I might not have put myself before, and just yeah, so definitely like I think just being able to, like you said, painting a wall, cooking, sewing something, whatever it might be, and just like being able to get yourself to do something that maybe you've been putting off, or different things like that. So yeah, that was definitely super helpful for me at least. But yeah.
yeah.
I have it's a little bit of a probably a weird question, but can you tell us what it's like being married to a prankster?
I love that. I feel like I have not lived with a prankster in a while, which is like great. um, Great in its own way. There's plus and minuses to it, but I think they stopped doing prank videos around 2020, which
Yeah.
we all know what happened then. So since then I mean I think probably even a little bit before that they stopped pranking. But yeah, it's been a journey. It's been I don't even know how to like really sum it up because they've been doing it for like ever. They've been doing it since 2011. So it's a really long time to do something. And they've seen a lot of growth, but it's definitely like it's an adventure. I've learned how to be very go with the flow and be okay with adventure. Like I didn't grow up doing a ton of like traveling or um just very very hidden, very like not, being noticed in public. That was like a really big curveball for me, where I'm like, why are these people staring at us? Um, but yeah, I think that like in a nutshell, I'm sorry. I feel like I'm not like really answering that very well, but
Oh
No, that
no,
was
it's fine. That
great.
was good. That was
Yeah.
good.
Because I knew like they hadn't done their prank
Yeah.
type videos in a while, but just like one
Right.
that was one thing like what we had done for the question, like or like just Justin personality that I see on YouTube at least, like what that's like. So you have three babies, but do you technically have four kids, including Justin? Like how does that work with just like his personality?
He has grown so much,
Yeah.
so much, especially like you have kids and it grows you up really, really fast. And so I think the fact that, he definitely he has childlike wonder and joy.
Mhm.
And sometimes I will say I'm like, I am not the mother of four, I am the mother of three. And like, I think, but he also, I'm very realist and, but he is like the joy button in our family. And so he helps me to not be like Eeyore, and I help Tigger to come back down to earth. So that's what I always say. I'm like, he's Tigger and I'm Eeyore. And so we balance each other really, really well.
Oh, God. There's always like so much, like I think that that's so important, what I was talking about at the beginning, just like to have someone that you could be best friends with before dating and different things like that. So yeah, just to have someone who like I might be way up here, but then there might be someone else who's down, like there can be kind of like that good balance.
Yeah.
To be like in dating and friendships, I think that God, like I know for sure that God created us for relationships, whether that's romantic or not, but just like to be able to have people like that in our lives where we can kind of help balance one another out and different things like that, and just to help complete one another or to complement one another, whatever it might be. But yeah, I think that's really cool. Though I love that.
Yeah.
So I think just kind of rounding up a little bit. I think we've kind of gotten to everything we were wanting to. But if you could just kind of share your faith journey, just like walking, just your testimony. And I know like specifically like with anxiety and depression, that's what I was wanting to get to mainly. But just like seeing that, and that's something that I've resonated with a lot. But just if you could just share your faith journey, your walk with Jesus, whatever that might look like, and like where you're kind of at right now.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, so I've known the Lord pretty much my entire life. I grew up in a Christian home. And I think it didn't really take root until I was like in my mid 20s, to be honest. It was definitely like a label, I would say, for a long time where I was like, yeah, I believe in the Lord, I'm a Christian, like do the thing. Um, go to church and serve and all the things. But I think, like I've said before, where it's like when you hit desperation and like when the wind and the storms come, like, is he actually your cornerstone? Like, is it solid? Is your house built properly to withstand those storms? And mine was not at all. And so I think, whether it's health that I walked through or, my very fragile identity, being married to someone who's like well known, and that was probably like the most crushing for me in my soul to feel like I really wanted to be noticed by people and to be loved and adored. And I saw my husband being incredibly adored and famous and all of this. And I was like, I want this. I want it really badly. And the Lord was like, no, it's not for you. And I was like, that stinks. And so, yeah. So now, it's been a very gentle but like very painful sanctifying journey of just walking with him and being like, okay, well, who am I in your eyes? And is that enough? If nobody else buys my art, sees my art, um, even if my art is taken away,
Yeah.
like, am I enough?
Wow.
And so that's kind of where I'm at right now, especially like if you have any like like new moms or new parents listening too, like they'll understand too. But it's like being a parent is very like sanctifying and stripping of everything that you want. Like, but it makes you cannot pay me enough money to go back to pre-children era, like at all. We love who we are now, and I love who I am through Christ. So yeah.
Think that that's so beautiful to get to that point. And I love that you had said that like wanting that, and like I think everyone wants to be seen and they want to be noticed and validated and different things like that. But then like seeing like God's will might be for one, or like that might be God's will for one person, but then for another, I like that you had said earlier. I don't want to mess it up, but I think that you had said like to be purposefully hidden. I think that's what you said. But just to have like God will purposefully hide us because He knows like He wants to protect our identity. He wants to protect purity. I mean, just whatever it might be that He wants to protect, and just to like. So I love that you had said that about like to see ourselves the way that God sees us, even if that's just like a glimpse of it. Because I know that just being able to see ourselves the way that God does, like that's just a scratch on the surface of how much deeper that it goes for us, or like to Him, like how He sees us. So yeah, I love that you had mentioned like just to be able to sit with being okay with who you are in Christ and in Christ alone. So yeah, I think that that's so beautiful to get to that point and to be able to love yourself and to be okay with where you're at in this moment instead of constantly trying to strive and trying to burn yourself out and masking and trying to just cover yourself up to be who everyone else wants to be, but to be able to finally get to a place where you're okay with who God created you to be. Because yeah, that's like mind blowing to me, and like I think a like constant journey that I think that everyone's on. So yeah, I think that's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. So I was about to say something similar about the masking thing because I remember how I used to, I would be around friends that, I would want them to think that I'm cool and all these things. And so I would completely just change a bunch of myself to please them or make them think I'm cool. Like, but even though that deep down, that was not me, but I was going to do whatever it could whatever I could do make them think that I was cool. So I did that quite a lot, but I would mask quite a lot, and I eventually got out of that because I just deep down realized that at the end of the day, it's not going to be good enough. Like at the end of the day, like no one really cares. It's like no one matters what you do. Like people are still going to have a problem with you. Like they're just going to be messed up people out there. But I just eventually just had to come to a conclusion, and then eventually I just stopped masking and stuff like that. And I know it is hard to try to get out of that because like there's that part of you where you want to please people and you want to make people happy, but you also got to think about yourself and you got to think about what God wants you. Like you got to think about God, you got to think about yourself. Like there are bigger things that God wants you to do than to please these people.
Exactly. Like He did not call us to please other people. You know what I mean? Like He called us to love Him and to love others as ourselves, right? And so it's like, are we loving ourselves?
Yeah.
No.
No.
Like I don't like truly, it's like if we ask ourselves, but I think the biggest like question, I'm gonna bring her up again. She's gonna love this or love her or hate it. But my mother-in-law, I'd always like be like, oh, like, I want to do this and this and this with my art. Or I can't remember like how I would say it, but she would like look at me and she'd be like, I would say something like, I want to have like what Justin has. And she'd look me straight in the eye and she'd be like, but do you really? And I'm like, well, I thought I did until you asked that question. And so I think, to wrap up that topic, it's like we truly think that we like what we want is for us. And it's like, but the Lord knows exactly what is meant for us. And I think like I know my personality and like I love these conversations. I love going deeper instead of broader. And so for me in my business, like I'm okay with not having a ton of clients at one time and making like a crazy amount of income. I am okay with like smaller and we go deeper. And so yeah, I love it.
Yeah, but I think it's like what David you were saying. I think that that's so important. Like it's like to see like because that's something that me and my mama were actually talking about the other day. Just like talking about like it doesn't seem like no matter what you do that there's unfortunately going to be people who are going to pick you apart, and there's going to be people who are going to have something negative to say about like I mean whether you I mean, yeah, it doesn't really matter what you have going on, that there's usually going to be somebody who's going to tear that down. So to be able, like you said, to be able to sit with, like, okay, God, like, do you actually have this for me? Like, I might want this. I feel like I want this, but like, do you actually have that for me? So yeah, I think that's huge to be able to see, like, okay, do you have me being a YouTuber? Do you have me being an artist? Like, whatever it is, and just like to be able to fully sit with God's will for us and to have that discernment. So, yeah, I think that's beautiful to like to sit and like even if being a YouTuber or artist, like whatever it is, like even if you don't get all of the income or all the views or whatever it is, and just to be okay with where God has you right now in the moment. So yeah, I think that's really cool and awesome for our podcast, because we, like I said, we don't have that many right now, but just like praying that if this is God's will, that He continues to grow that and for Him to be glorified through it. So yeah, that's something that's really inspiring for sure.
Love it.
All right, so I think to just wrap everything up. So one thing that we like doing, it's called Spark, and so what you were just talking about with going deeper. So like these are cards that are just kind of like random, like they're it's just like all sorts of deep things. So we'll randomly pick one, and then we can answer. It'll just help like to spark deep conversation. So we love doing these like with interviews and stuff.
Fun.
Yeah. So okay, the one that I picked, it says, "What are you currently looking forward to?"
Oh my gosh, I love that.
Oh yeah.
Perfect.
This podcast.
Oh, cool.
What am I currently looking forward to? I think I actually messaged you, Maya, about this, where I'm like, there's a lot of transitions like happening, like in our family. So just, like my kids in August are gonna go to this really cool, like hybrid homeschool group thing. I'm like really pumped for them. I'm really, really pumped because it's gonna be like the first time. And so we're just kind of like gearing up for that. And so I think like knowing that they're gonna go to school like 3 days a week is making our summer like even more special, because it's like, okay, well, what can we do, in preparation for this? And then they have something to look forward to. They get to see their best friend. So I think like that, it's gonna be hard, but it's gonna be really special in August. So yeah.
Like how long are they going to be going for that, or like is it going to be for the whole month or just for a little bit?
So it basically it's like the university model. So like they will be going to school 3 days a week, and but then it's still like a homeschool like program, and so they'll be home 2 days out of the week.
Okay, gotcha.
And so I'll still be able to teach them and stuff like that. But yeah, so like as a mom, that's really big for me.
Oh, for sure, because that's both me and him. Or I started homeschooling whenever I was in fourth grade. I was homeschooled, and he's been homeschooled all of his life. So yeah, I know for me, like if that like being homeschooled and then going into an area where you're kind of in a school setting like that definitely sounds like a big transition for me. So I could imagine like as a mom, but then also as the teacher, like that big transition, and I'm sure a big transition for them too. But yeah, I'm praying that they have a good time with that too, because that definitely sounds exciting.
Yeah. Thank you. What about you guys?
So yeah, do you have anything that you're gonna say?
Yeah, I think for me, I think the same, just like this podcast and just being able to do this with you, but then we've being able to have some other episode ideas lined up as well. So we're excited for that. But then I think another thing, as far as like summer and stuff, we've got a trip planned for, I think it's around the same time in August, in Galveston. We go every year as a family to Galveston, Texas, and we absolutely love going. There's a RV park that we love staying at. They've got all sorts of fun stuff to do. So yeah, that's
tropical. It has really nice beach there. It's really nice over there.
Oh,
yeah, that's kind of like our big summer trip every year. So we're definitely looking forward to that. And just trying to stay cool, as cool as we possibly can this summer, because it's been hot over here in Louisiana. So trying to cool off for sure.
How hot has it been?
It's like today, it's been like up in the 90s, so it's definitely it's a lot over here and humid, so that makes it even worse.
Oh wow, you guys. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, David, what about you?
I would probably say the same exact thing for Galveston, but then I I know it's probably weird, it's nerdy, but there's also this
Oh my God.
somewhat this like there's this convention going on. It's like kind of like Comic Con, like
Maya told me. Yes.
But you did?
I did. I
Okay.
told her during the art program that we did.
Oh my gosh, I didn't know that. But
Yeah.
yeah, we're supposed to be going to a convention similar to Comic Con. But yeah, we're supposed to be going there somewhere this August as well. So I'll be excited about that as well.
I'm so excited for you. Are you guys dressing up for that?
Yeah, I'm going as like some sort of Star Wars character or something.
That'll be the same for me. Like we're big Star Wars nerds, so trying to go all out and dress up fully Star Wars.
That's awesome. I'm so excited.
But yeah, lots of fun stuff, and like that's like for me, summer, like that's my all-time favorite season. So yeah, lots of I always look forward to the summer season, and always lots of fun stuff to do, and being able to get out a lot more, and not being cooped up inside as much. So I definitely look forward to summer every year.
Yeah.
Same.
All right, I think so David, I don't know if you want to pray us out or if you want me to.
Okay, I guess you could.
Okay. But yeah, I'll pray us out, and then we'll go ahead and wrap everything up.
Sounds good.
Right. Lord Jesus, we just thank you so much for this time together. God, we just ask that you would bless the rest of our day, that we would have a good rest of our day. God, we just pray that you would bless Brittany and her amazing family, her kids, Justin. We just ask that you would bless them and everything that they have going on, and just everything that you're planning ahead for them, with everything that's going to be coming up for them. We just ask that you would bless it, that you would keep them. And God, we just thank you so much for this conversation. We just pray that everyone who is watching or will be watching, we just pray that you would bless them, that they would find things in our conversation today that spoke to them, that you would just pierce their heart, and just to find them and to meet them exactly where they're at, just help them. And so yeah, we just thank you so much for speaking through us, and for being able to find a way to speak to us and to meet us when it seemed like we're lost and just hopeless, and all things seem lost. But we thank you that you always find a way to meet us and to rescue us from our flesh and from our thoughts. Yeah, we just thank you so much for this conversation. And we just ask that you would be with us throughout the rest of our day. In Jesus Christ's name we pray. Amen.
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 So yeah, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Brittany, for joining on to the podcast. I had a really wonderful time. Sure.
Thank you for having me. It was so fun.
Yeah, this was awesome being able to talk with you and being able to have you on finally, because like I said, this was definitely a priority.
So if you so before you go, I don't know if you want to shout out yourself, if you have Instagram or anything like that you want to shout out yourself. Like,
yeah, you can
check your stuff out.
Yes, you can actually find my personal stuff on it. It's Brittany Stuart. So ITS Brittany Stuart. That's where I have all my personal art. And then Dear Norel is like my umbrella business. So you can find like basically purchase everything, my one-on-one coaching, all of that under Dear Norel. So
and you have a Dear Norel Instagram, right?
I do. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll link all of that fun stuff down below where y'all can go check her out easily. But yeah, find out all of her fun stuff and everything that she has going on. But yeah, I think that's all that we got. But yeah, I hope that y'all enjoyed this episode, that y'all got something from it. And remember to take off your sandals
because you're standing on holy ground.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.